I came home after a late shift around 9 p.m., but instead of the usual sound of the TV or the smell of my mom's cooking, what greeted me was an empty house. No calls, no messages, just a crumpled piece of paper left on the kitchen counter. You'll figure it out. I was 17. And from that moment on, I officially had no family. Have you ever been abandoned by the people who were supposed to love you most? Have you ever heard an apology so late it made you want to scream? Now you care. In today's video, you'll follow a story of loss and then resilience. A story where old wounds become fuel to build a life no one thought she could. Chapter 1. I came home, and everything was gone. I got home around 9 p.m. after a long shift at the pizza shop near school. I was covered in grease. My hair was a mess. My eyes stung. I hadn't slept all day. I was 17. No parties, no friends, just schoolwork and home. That was my life. I remember I even smiled as I stepped onto the porch. Not because I was happy, more like sarcasm had become my only coping mechanism. I had just come up with this bitter little joke in my head. Today the pizza burned, just like my life. I had no idea that joke would become a prophecy for the worst night of my life. The front door was cracked open. The lights inside were off, completely dark. No TV sounds. No clattering pots in the kitchen. No mom yelling about dishes. No dad grumbling at the news. Nothing. Just an empty house. I called out loudly, "Mom, Dad, silence." I turned on every light. I ran through the living room, the kitchen, the hallway. My parents' bedroom empty. My little sister's room empty. My own room still full of my stuff, but cold, like a hollow, abandoned shell. My hands started to shake. My throat clenched like I'd swallowed a rock. For a second, I thought maybe we'd been robbed, or maybe something terrible had happened, but then I saw the note, a torn piece of paper from an old notebook placed neatly on the kitchen table. In my mother's familiar, jagged handwriting, "You'll figure it out." No goodbye, no phone call, no "I love you," no "take care of yourself," just a line so cold it slapped me across the face. I stood there in the kitchen under the flickering fluorescent light, feeling like my entire life had just been severed with a cold blade. My family had left me. They didn't take me. They didn't ask. They didn't give me a chance. I collapsed onto the floor. My phone slipped from my hand. I called them over and over and over again. "Mom, is this some kind of joke? Dad, why didn't you say anything? I'm sorry if I did something wrong." Nothing. Disconnected or straight to voicemail. I texted my little sister, the 15-year-old who used to cling to me like a shadow. "Where are you seen?" No reply. I stayed there all night. The sun rose. Light spilled across the cracked, peeling wall paint. And I was still sitting there back against the fridge, my eyes wide open. I didn't cry, because even my tears felt betrayed. That's when it hit me. I didn't have a family anymore. Chapter 2. Why did they leave me? I don't really remember how I got through the days that followed. You could call it living, but it was really just surviving. I went to school wearing shoes that were coming apart at the soles. I crashed on a beat-up sofa at an old friend's house until I got kicked out 3 weeks later because her mom didn't want to get involved in someone else's family drama. No one helped me. No one asked how I was. No one spoke up even though they knew I'd been abandoned. I went to my principal and told her everything. She just advised me to try contacting other relatives, but I didn't have anyone else. I was the only one in my extended family born in this state. Grandma had passed. My uncles lived far away and had never seen me as anything more than that girl. I picked up more shifts at the pizza shop. Right after class, I'd head straight to the kitchen. At night, I'd curl up in the storage room, sleeping between flour bags and boxes of hot sauce. I lived like a ghost. No new paperwork, no money, no aid, just me. And I kept asking myself, why did they do this to me? I wasn't a drug addict. I didn't get pregnant. I didn't drop out. I was a decent student. I worked part-time to help pay for electricity. I even used my own money to pay for my sister's extra math lessons. So why one night I borrowed a coworker's phone and checked my mom's Facebook, and I went numb. They hadn't moved in a hurry. There hadn't been any emergency. Not like I'd hoped. They had sold our house. They moved in with my cousin, a pharmacist, married to a rich guy with 2 kids who were born to succeed, apparently. My mom had posted photos at the beach at an all-you-can-eat buffet wearing a brand new dress. Her caption, "This new life is everything." Should have done this ages ago. And in the comments, someone asked, "Hey, what about your other daughter?" Mom replied with a emoji. That was it. No name, no mention of me, no sign that I had ever been a part of that family picture. I didn't know whether I was shaking from anger, heartbreak, or just emptiness. That same night, it hit me. They had never truly wanted me. I was an accident, a financial burden, an obstacle to their dream life. A dream with a picture-perfect house elite, social circles, and grandkids who said, please, and thank you, just like the parenting book said. Me with my frizzy hair, clearance rack clothes, and dreams of becoming a tech engineer, I didn't belong in their perfect world. I didn't cry anymore, because crying meant you still had hope. And after that night, I had no hope left in what people call family. All I had left was the will to survive, and I was going to use it to prove one thing: I didn't need them. Chapter 3: Surviving Alone. I survived, not because anyone helped me, but because I had no other choice. At first, I crashed on the worn-out couch in the back of the pizza place where I worked. The night shift manager took pity on me. She said, just don't let the customers find out, okay? I gave her a weak smile, nodded, and whispered, thank you, but my throat felt like it was filled with stones. A week later, the general manager found out. I got kicked out, so I slept at the bus stop near the library, used my backpack as a pillow, pulled my jacket over my face to hide from the world. I ate whatever was close to expiration and of convenience store clerks, accidentally left behind the counter. I went to school, wearing torn jeans and a borrowed hoodie, from one of the only classmates who still texted me to check in. There were moments when I stood in front of a grimy mirror in a public restroom, staring at my reflection. Dark circles, sunken cheeks, greasy hair from 3 days without a shower. And I asked myself, is this what a discarded child looks like? Is this what unwanted really means? Yes, it was. But I swore to myself I wouldn't stay that way forever. I found every possible way to earn money. I handed out flyers for a Vietnamese nail salon. I washed cars on weekends. I walked dogs at night. I even worked part-time in a Chinese restaurant where the owner paid me only with plain rice and iced tea. And I still said yes, because at least I gotta eat. I learned how to unlock Wi-Fi networks. I hacked a hotspot using an old phone just to complete my homework online. I lived at the library every afternoon, borrowing every single book on life skills I could find. I learned how to cook with a clothes iron, wash clothes with rainwater, and lie to teachers saying my parents were abroad on business when they asked why my guardian's signature was always missing. I vanished off the radar of the world, but I was still here. One afternoon, after submitting a scholarship application, my career counselor called me into her office. She held my file, looked at me for a long time, then said, you know, some kids have everything: a home, 2 parents, but not even a fraction of your strength. And for the first time in months, I cried, not because I was weak, but because for the first time, someone looked at me and saw a human being. Later, I got the scholarship. It was specifically for students facing extreme hardship. It came with a spot in the dorms, meal support, and school supply funding. I screamed when I read the confirmation email. I had thought my life was over at 17, but turns out it was just the beginning. I started rebuilding myself. I cut my hair, created a new LinkedIn account using only my initials. I learned how to give presentations, joined open source tech projects, and within 2 years, I became one of the top students in my program. no family, no relatives, no place to call home, just a discarded child, and a will to survive that refused to die. Chapter 412. 12 years later, they came back. I'm 29 now. I was standing in the conference room of a top tech company product development director, leading a team of over 40 people. I had a small apartment, but it was warm. I had a boyfriend, not perfect, but he respected me, and he never disappeared without a word. I had made it through my past. At least, I thought I had. Until one day, I opened my inbox, an email from Mom. Subject line: How are you, sweetie? I miss you so much. I nearly spat coffee all over my keyboard. Sweetie, miss. This coming from the woman who once left me with a handwritten note that said, "You'll figure it out." And now she's using words like, "miss you." I didn't respond. 2 weeks later, another email came in. This time from my cousin, the one Mom had moved in with after dumping me. Auntie says she regrets everything. She cries a lot. She misses you. Everyone has changed. Can you give them a chance? All right, changed. I logged into Facebook not to stalk, just to verify, and just like I expected, there she was. Photos with my cousin at dinner parties, shopping sprees, the same fluffy captions: family is everything. Raising good kids is the greatest joy in life. No, I wasn't in those photos. It was my little sister, the one who once laughed in my face and said, "Well, you didn't know how to live right. You deserved to be left behind." I didn't reply until one night my phone rang. Unknown number. I picked up, and I heard a voice I hadn't heard in 12 years. "Sweetie, it's Mom. I know I was wrong." My heart pounded, not from emotion, but from rage rising up from where I buried it. I cut her off. "I think you've got the wrong number. I'm the girl you left at 17 with no parents, no family, no hope." "Ring any bells?" she cried, and I felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction. Just emptiness. A few days later, a letter arrived. An actual handwritten letter sent through the mail. The same apology tone. But then I got to this part, and I couldn't help but laugh. "I never expected you to be this successful. I'm so proud of you, but we don't have a home anymore. Your sister is about to start college. If you could maybe help a little with her tuition." There it was. Not about missing me, not about regret. Money. I took a picture of the letter, sent it to my best friend. She replied with one sentence: "Throw it away. You lived without them. Now they can live without you." I folded the letter, tossed it in the trash. No tears, no shaking, no second thoughts, because I had learned the most valuable lesson of my life. Not everyone who gives you life deserves to be called family. Chapter 5. The Final Call. A week after that letter asking for tuition money, I thought it was finally over. Until my dad called. I nearly dropped my phone when I saw his name on the screen. This was the man who signed the papers to sell our house behind my back and hadn't sent me a single message in 12 years. I hesitated, but in the end, I picked up. His voice was exactly the same, low, stern, and so emotionless it made my skin crawl. "It's your father, your mother, Ada, may have gone too far, but everything had a reason. Times were tough back then. Tough, I almost laughed. I was sleeping outside, bathing in school bathrooms, eating expired snacks. Meanwhile, they moved in with a rich aunt in another state, vacationed in Mexico, posted photos of sashimi dinners and luxury spas." I let out a bitter chuckle. Tough enough to kick me out without a word. Tough enough to not even check if I was alive for 12 years. Silence. Then he said, "It wasn't really my idea. It was your mother. She didn't want to keep you around because she was afraid your sister would copy your rebellious attitude. She said the older you got, the more defiant you became." Defiant. Because I didn't want to major in what she chose. Because I signed up for a coding class instead of a nursing program. There was a time when I had hoped, really hoped that maybe Dad didn't know they'd abandoned me. But now it was clear he knew, and he said nothing. Then came the cherry on top. You've made it. You're strong. Not everyone can do what you've done. So forgive them. Give them a chance. He said it like I was some kind of saint in a fairy tale, like forgiveness was my duty, not a privilege they absolutely didn't deserve. So I answered, You say I'm strong, but where were you when I was hungry? Where were you when I slept on concrete? Where were you when I sobbed into my backpack at night, thinking I was garbage? What do you know about strong? And then I hung up. That was the last time I ever heard their voices. I blocked every number. I changed my email. I blocked every relative on my dad's side because even they had called me ungrateful for refusing to send money. I know they'll keep telling people that I changed. That money turned me cold. But I don't care. I survived 12 years without anyone by my side. I can live 60 more the same way and feel no regret. Chapter 6. The Funeral and the Fakeness. 2 years after that final phone call, I got a text from my cousin. Your dad passed away. I thought you should know. Your mom still hopes you'll come. After all, he was your father. I just sat there, not shocked, not sad, just stuck on one thing. I didn't know how I was supposed to feel. Was I supposed to go? Did I owe him a proper goodbye? Eventually, I decided to go. Not to cry, not to forgive, but to face the damned past I thought I'd already buried. The funeral was held at a small church in the next state. I walked in head to toe in black, not for mourning, but because black felt like armor. As I entered, every pair of eyes turned to me. My aunt stared like she'd seen a ghost. My sister pretended to dab tears, but still had time to shoot me a sharp glare. And my mother, front row in a lace-trimmed black dress, clutching a handkerchief head, bowed like she was auditioning for Widow of the Year. I said nothing. No tears, no hugs, no greetings. I just stood there staring at the casket. There he was. Still. Peaceful. As if he'd never abandoned his daughter. I thought about the nights I was so hungry I drank tap water to fill my stomach. The winters I curled up in freezing rooms with no heater. And now he got to rest in peace when I nearly didn't live at all. After the service, my mother walked up to me. Her voice trembled, though I couldn't tell if it was real or staged. I know I made mistakes, but your father, he always watched over you. He just didn't know how to show it. I looked her straight in the eye. He watched over me. For 12 years, he couldn't even send an email. And now you expect me to believe this scripted fairy tale you've set up for this funeral. One of the aunts stepped in. Sweetheart, don't cause a scene. This is a sacred place. The dead deserve peace. I let out the bitterest laugh of my life. Funny. Where was that peace when I was alive and needed it? I turned and walked away. Behind me, my mother called out, You'll regret turning your back on your family. I didn't look back. I just said I didn't turn my back on my family. My family turned their back on me, and since then, I've learned how to build a family of my own. I walked out of that funeral like the only one still living, leaving behind the ones who had died long ago. Inside my heart. Chapter 7. A Stranger in a New Home. I don't know when it started. This belief that I didn't deserve a family. Maybe I thought I was too damaged, too cold, too guarded, too independent. But then Alex showed up. We met at a tech conference. He wasn't the loud, spotlight-stealing kind. He was the type whose eyes quietly scanned the room, always looking for the ones left behind. I remember the first time I told him that I was abandoned by my family. He didn't hug me like in some overly sentimental movie. He didn't try to fix anything. He just asked in a calm, low voice, They left you. But have you ever left yourself? I was speechless. No one had ever asked me that. No one had ever looked at me like that, as if I was already whole, as if I didn't have to perform to be worth something. We started dating, slowly. No expectations, no pressure, but the first time he took me home to meet his family, I broke out in cold sweat. His parents invited me for dinner. His mom made chicken soup. His dad asked me what I did for a living. His sister showed me pictures of her kids. Everything felt so normal, it felt wrong. I looked around the dinner table, my hands clenched white in my lap. They're faking it. They're only being nice because I'm dating their son. Sooner or later, they'll show me who they really are, but 6 months passed and nothing changed. No passive-aggressive jabs, no guilt tripping, no weird control games, just gentle questions, warm dinners, and small, unexpected gifts. One day I broke down crying. Alex's mom had texted me, "I know you've had a busy week, sweetheart. I prepped some meals and put them in your fridge. Don't forget to eat. Love, your other mom." I sat in the living room alone, holding a lunchbox labeled Wednesday. Don't forget to eat. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I was being called someone's child without having to earn it. I told Alex what happened. He just smiled and said, "We don't get to choose where we're born, but we can choose where we belong." It took me 12 years to understand that. But now I have it. A home, no conditions, no expectations, just acceptance, healing, and love. Chapter 8. The Invitation That Never Got a Reply. I was sitting in my usual coffee shop when my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I wasn't going to answer, but for some reason, I did. "Hello, it's Mom. I don't know if you still want to hear from me, but I miss you." My whole body froze for 3 solid seconds. I couldn't remember the last time I'd heard her voice. 12 years, 13. Maybe longer. She kept speaking, her voice getting smaller like she was afraid I'd hang up. "I know, I was wrong, but I want to fix things. I'm planning a family reunion. I'd love for you to come. Maybe we can start over." Right, I didn't say a word. Not angry, not emotional, just empty. Because I realized what she wanted wasn't me. She wanted peace of mind. A box to check. Tried to make amends. I told Alex about it later. He looked at me quietly for a long moment, then asked, "Do you think if you went things would be different?" I scoffed. "No, they don't want me to come back. They want the old version of me, the obedient shadow, the one that makes them feel less guilty." The reunion was held on a Saturday. I didn't go. I turned off my phone, went out for dinner with Alex and his family. We grilled garlic bread. His mom joked that I chopped onions like a professional kitchen wrecker. Everyone laughed. No drama, no tears, no tension, just laughter and a dinner table that actually felt like family. That night I opened my laptop. I wrote an email. Didn't send it, just wrote it. To finally let go of something I'd been holding far too long, Mom. If you ever wanted to keep me, you wouldn't have left that note. If your guilt was real, you'd have come looking for me years ago. Not after Dad died. Not after relatives started asking questions. Not when my sister needed a sponsor to study abroad. I'm no longer the child waiting for you to come back. I have a family now, and it's not you. I hope you find peace, but I don't owe you another chance. The daughter you once left behind. I saved the draft, not to send it, but to remind myself I've come far enough, and I don't need to look back anymore. I didn't go back, not out of hatred, but because I had found enough peace to no longer need forgiveness from people who never truly wanted me to stay. Family isn't always about blood. Family is where you can be yourself, without proving, without pretending, without begging for love. If you've ever been left behind, if you've ever been hurt by the very people meant to protect you, please remember this. You were never disposable. You are worthy of love. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't forgiving. It's saying no to those who once called themselves your family. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe so you won't miss more real raw stories like this one.